Okay. There's not really much to a bike. I mean, this is your clutch. I have an adjustable one. I can mess with the positioning. So, you know, let's say I want it farther away. Bam, it's farther. If I want it closer, it's closer. I have mine kind of in the middle, preference. So this is your clutch. You take left hand, and you're going to slowly pull in the clutch. We'll get to that later. This is your front brake on your right hand. It only does the front. This is your gear shift. It's down for first gear, or down to go down, 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 and then you can also go up, which if you're starting in first, like how the bike now is in first, I can go half of a click up. That's neutral. If I go all the way, that's second, and then third, and then it goes from there. These are your back, your whatever the fuck they're called, second person's feet. This is your rear brake. It only is going to activate wherever the hell, right in there. So there's two ways you can really get on the bike. The first way is, you know, you always want to just hold your hand on the clutch, just so if anything starts rolling, you don't fuck with any. You don't fuck with your gears. You also want to have your hand on your front brake so it doesn't roll. You can go like this and just lift your leg up. But the other way is put your hand there, put your foot on that thing, hold on the clutch, hold on the brake, and just hop over like you're getting on a horse. From there, turning on the bike is as simple as clicking it on. Now I'm in neutral. So if I go down one, I'm in first gear. Then I can go halfway up, neutral. From first, if I go all the way, I'm in second. This is your kill switch. So if you're gonna, I'll get to that actually next. Starting the bike is that's your electric start. You want to make sure your kill switch is on run, not on kill. That's kill, that's run. So you're going to want to hold the clutch in. And if you're in first gear, well, I'll do it in neutral just for right now. You still always want to hold your clutch in. So now we're running. You can let go of your clutch now. It's in neutral. It's not going to do anything. Now, killing the engine is as simple as either turning it off, or hitting the kill switch. The other way is you want to make sure your kickstand is, so if your kickstand's down, you want to make sure it's up, and you'll most likely be in gear because you're parking. So again, hold the clutch. And now my battery's almost dead because I've started it so many times. The other way is you let the kickstand down. Bam, it's dead. So, now that we've covered that, we've covered killing it. Driving is the next thing, or moving. So I'm on a slight incline, which it doesn't really mean much. So your clutch hand, some people do full hand. Some people only have 2 fingers on the clutch. I do 3, and my pinky is resting on the bar. So if you just slowly let go, so you can see here I'm parked. If you slowly let go, the bike will start creeping forward, and eventually, now we're on a hill, so it's a bit exaggerated, but eventually you'll just be rolling without using any throttle. So the RPMs will also dip a little bit, so that'll indicate that there's minimal load on the engine. So as I'm going into the parking lot, you see I'm going about 6 to 7 miles per hour without even using the throttle. That's pretty much just like when you're in a car, an automatic car, you stick it in the first gear and you let your foot off the brake. It's just going to roll forward. there's no throttle, it's essentially the same thing. So the next thing, when you're able to do that, the next step is to add throttle, which good ways of getting since we're on an uphill, this will help a little bit more on showing how to do that. So you slowly, with clutch all the way in, I'm rolling backwards. If I slowly start to let it out, see the bike stops, that's because there's minimal load on the transmission. If I start creeping it forward, you can notice the bike is slowly starting to creep. The RPMs dip a little bit. If you go too far forward, it stalls. So don't think of the clutch as just a trigger. If I were to have not use the throttle, if I just let go of the clutch, try and think of it, well, not like a trigger, like a button. If I just think of it like a button, it's going to do that, which that's stalling. You don't want to do that, but you'll probably do it multiple times, especially at red lights. So I'm going to get myself back to where we were. So we're back here. So we're again going to let the bike creep forward. You hear the RPMs dip a little bit. You don't want to dip too much or else you'll stall again. We just saw what that was. But now, if you add a little bit of throttle, you'll notice now I'm going faster, which means your clutch is partially engaged. It's called pretty much like feathering the clutch or slipping the clutch. I think slipping's different. I haven't really researched that or looked at what the definition is. But wet clutches are designed to do this in first gear, which this bike has a wet clutch, which that means your clutch is doused almost always in your motor oil, if I remember correctly. So since it's doused in the motor oil, pretty much it doesn't burn out. It will burn out if you just hog the clutch going too quickly, but it won't really. In first gear, it's designed to be partially used. So again, we're gonna let it out, add a little bit of throttle. Now, when you get to a certain point, you can let go of the clutch all the way. Then you're only on throttle. This bike, essentially, when the slowest you can go without stalling is probably going to be about 10-7, which again, that's pretty much exactly where when you engage your clutch, it pretty much is at that speed too. So it's like a trade-off almost. And since we're only on throttle, another way to help manage your throttle is if you cover the rear brake, only the rear. If you cover the first, you're going to be jittery and you're going to always be doing shit like that. Now, if you're on your rear brake, granted, if you just jab the rear brake, you're going to do that. But if you making a turn, slowly do that. So the way that bike transmissions are, I don't know if it's like this for car, but listen to the RPMs. And this is as I brake. I'm not braking now and they're rising. I brake and they dip. So to maintain a U-turn, the best way is going to be hugging your rear brake. That way, if you notice your RPMs start getting too low, you can let off the brake a little bit and it keeps it from stalling. So it's just about that easy. So from rolling, you go from that. Now the next step, really, that's shifting, or that's in first gear. That's parking lot maneuvers. The next thing is upshifting, which upshifting, it's not difficult at all. I was worried big time when I was going to start. Pretty much what you want to do is you pull in the clutch, let go of the throttle because you don't want to just sit there and do that. And then on your foot there, you're going to go up, and you see it goes into second. So then you're in second gear. Now, again, you go into the next one, and it's quiet again. That way, you know, you shift it. So I'm going back over here. It's not that difficult, really. So I know it may seem like stressy, but it's nothing. It's not like worrying about stalling in a car. Now that's a good example too. Watch my clutch when I go and adjust my finger. This is going back to engaging the clutch or disengaging the clutch just a little bit. As I release it, the bike starts moving forward. And now you can see it's moving ever so slightly, and we're picking up speed. But if I pull it in, I think it starts to slow down a little bit. But we're also kind of on a hill, so that's why that's doing that. But you're not really going to be able to hear me as I get going because I don't have a microphone. But essentially, this is the next step once you get to there. And you're probably going to hear my music because this is going to be me going home. So I'll try and say some things, but if you can't hear them, don't worry. Hey, Cena, play music. Another way of shifting that I know I didn't mention in this current video is clutchless shifting, which clutchless shifting is essentially not using the clutch, obviously in the name. So the way that you're going to do it is you're going to rest your foot on the shifter, always pushing a little bit upwards. If you push too much, you could break the lever, or you could shift damaging the transmission, and then as you're pressing up on it, I'll wait till the next light. Like that. You don't want to stall like that. So while you have your foot on the gear shifter, pushing up slightly, to shift up again, you're going to let off the throttle very quickly. Essentially, you're going from having a load to no load, allowing the transmission to go up, like this. You can also clutchless downshift, which you only have to be wary going from second to first. Now on this next light, when I go to turn, I'll show you what it's like to, oh, damn it. I'll just quit talking for right now. Well, when clutchless downshifting, you want to always have pressure down a little bit, and then when you roll off the throttle, it shifts. So I'll stop talking for now on, and you'll get to see what it's like essentially on the bike.